Hi, my name is Andy Rosas, and today I'm here to talk to you about video games, specifically online video games. In 2014, the U.S. Census Bureau listed the American population as 320 million people. In 2015, the Electronic Software Association listed the amount of people who play video games regularly as 155 million in the United States. So by the comparison of these two stats, you can see that we can come to the conclusion that video games are becoming an ever-growing aspect in our culture today, and many people don't think that this is necessarily a good thing. Many psychological experts and parents think that video game culture isn't so great to expose their children to, mainly because when you think of video game culture, you normally think of people who aren't really well equipped in social situations. You think of the person who'd rather be alone than be with friends, and parents think that this kind of hinders a child's ability to develop socially. My claim today is that online gaming is effective in aiding in the social development of children. And my supporting claims for this claim are that online gaming provides a safe environment for social development. Online gaming allows for children to experience and learn values freely, and it is an introduction into the modern world. So with my first claim, it is the nature of online gaming supports lasting relationships while providing a medium to feel safe. In Joseph Nowinski, on psychological expert and expert on the field, states that even though many people think as online gaming culture as a toxic culture, many people keep coming back to online gaming as a way to reconnect with people who they connected with before. This is due to being able to feel safe with people that you meet online, not only because you can select who you are friends with, but it is also easier to avoid people online than it is in person. If you think about being on the playground as a young person, if someone bullies you or someone does something bad to you, it's kind of hard to get away from them. But as opposed to online, you can easily just report them or kind of mute them in game. Online gaming provides a safe environment for social development in the sense that it provides spaces to serve critical attachment functions. And what I mean by this is that psychological needs that should be gotten at home or through normal social experiences can be gotten through online gaming. An example of this comes with people who don't really feel like they are good in social settings. They don't really want to go play sports. They don't really want to go do the normal things that kids do. But they can do all these things by playing a game and meeting up with people online who have the same interests as them, and they have this community sense. Okay, so my second point is that online gaming allows for children to experience and learn values freely. Social learning is demonstrated through the acts of making friends online. As I said earlier, you can't really always do this in person just because a child might not have the same social skills as another child, but through online it has been shown that there's actually less of a barrier to entry just because you kind of start in the game. You choose the game that you actually want to play, as opposed to if you want to make friends in person, you can't always, if you have the option between like doing football or doing like a club that your school offers, if you don't like either one of those two, you can't really be enthusiastic about doing it. Customization of characters also allows kids to exercise individualism. In an online gaming context, it was shown in a study that even the most rudimentary game choices, such as naming your character or customizing your character, is a reflection of a person's personality, and in this sense, a kid can easily express themselves through online gaming in a way that they might not feel comfortable doing in person. A strong work ethic can also be developed through a specific type of game, such as like role-playing games, because it allows you to learn the value of spending time and chipping away time to get a certain experience for the next level, or things like that. My third point is that online gaming is a fun introduction into the modern world. It is the CEO of the Electronic Software Association stated that video games are actually becoming ingrained in our culture, and because of that, it is driving some of the most experienced and innovative fields in today's world. This is solely because software and technology are becoming a bigger and bigger part of our culture today, and many kids are being exposed to technology and culture in a way that they wouldn't be if they weren't exposed to online gaming. And in conclusion, I hope you will agree with me in my opinion that online gaming is effective in aiding the social development of children, because they're able to do things they wouldn't normally do in public, in an online safe environment, as well as learning experiences and values. Thank you.
Were you going to give me an outline?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, I'm just checking.
I also don't have the rough draft.
Well, you'll bring that to me next time, all right?
Okay.
All right, Andy, the proposition's pretty clear. The contents are laid out pretty clearly as well. So structurally, everything is sound. I think you do a nice job speaking to us for the most part. You get some credibility because you seem to know your way around what it is you're talking about. You usually explain concepts behind the ideas that you're talking about, and I think your explanations sound pretty good. The proof on those claims, though, I think is what's missing. There's a lot of hypothetical examples about what kids might be able to do or what potential benefit there is, but we don't have any information that suggests that they either have improved abilities because they have this video game experience, or for instance that the dangers that are sometimes talked about that you suggest make up the controversy in the first place, that those aren't really true. That in fact the kids don't become isolated, they become more engaged. And it would seem like that's the thing that would be the easiest thing to prove, especially on that first point, that they have a wider circle of acquaintances online as a consequence of playing these games. I would think that there's probably some way to measure that statistically about how many people a kid actually engages with when they're playing those games, and in an annual period how many they're exposed to and how frequently they post comments or share information or access tools for learning the secrets of the game, whatever, all the kind of stuff that people do in the gaming community. That's the kind of stuff that I think needs to document your first point there, and that's sort of what's missing. That would be, I think, the easiest part of the argument to document. Now, the other points that you're presenting, the idea of values and that there's going to be that they get to choose their game and they get to choose their identity and all those sorts of things, that is so vague and esoteric as to be almost meaningless. I'm not saying that it's completely unimportant, but I'm not exactly sure how significant it is in contrast to some of the objections that people have about video gaming. And you need to make this argument. If you're going to make the argument, you need to make it a lot more convincing. There's only a couple of source citations in the presentation. There's a lot of assertions and, like I said, a lot of hypothetical examples. The third point talks about the introduction to the modern world. I think your argument here is that this is really the future of the economy and maybe the social culture. Then you've got a quote here from somebody who is a CEO in this field, and they're talking about what the future is going on. They're talking about it driving innovation. So I would think that that would be a pretty important argument to suggest that people who have access to video games and playing online are going to be able to be more effective in working in the future economy, that they'll be familiar with the terminology, that they may have done the kinds of things that are going to be expected of people to be able to do in a variety of circumstances and situations. That, I think, is also potentially something that could be documented a lot more, but mostly here it's asserted. I thought you had a nice summary at the end of the presentation. You remind us of the point that you're presenting, and if I'm just listening to you and we're having a conversation and you hadn't had several weeks to get ready for this, I'd say, well, that's an interesting point that you've got, and you've made a reasonable argument without any reference to any information, but here's some information that suggests the exact opposite of what you're talking about, and then you wouldn't have any grounds to resist on. And I think that's the thing that's most problematic about the speech. Not the concept, but the evidence that you're using to prove your point. Thank you.